Here at Bechem, we have always relied on water-repellent greases. But now we have turned our attention to the other side of calcium sulfonate complex greases. With our new grease, BECHEM Complex CM21, we have created a new product that can not only absorb large quantities of water, but also maintains its high performance.
Hello, my name is Tim Oliver Mattern and I'm the Global Market Manager for Steel Industry at BECHEM in Hagen. Today we want to introduce you to a new product from our portfolio called BECHEM Complex CM21.
Hello, my name is Reichmann and I'm the Product Manager for Lubricating greases. The thickener technology of calcium sulfonate complex greases is meanwhile established since many decades. At BECHEM, we have several products of this thickener technology in our portfolio. However, so far we have never introduced a product with sulfonate complex thickener on a high base oil viscosity, such as it is applied in heavy industry applications, such like continuous casters, hot rolling, or in earth-moving equipment in mining or construction. Instead, we offered urea greases or other soap thickeners that already outperformed the calcium sulfonate complex greases of competitors. Therefore, we were pretty clear on this topic. If we ever going to establish a calcium sulfonate complex grease based on a high viscous oil, we will not follow what is multiply published and produced. If we ever going to do so, we will follow a new concept, chemically and process-wise. A young and eager team of chemists and engineers, led by people with decades of experience in development, production, and application of greases, especially in steel industry and other areas of heavy industry, was established and started working on this topic. It took years to optimize the composition and the process technology, but what we finally received exceeded our expectations. Our BECHEM Complex CM21 offers excellent load-carrying ability and shear resistance. However, one of its most outstanding performances is its special way to handle water. Several products have been tested in a shell roller test with the following setup. 50 grams of grease and 100 grams of water were added to the shell roller. From time to time, the remaining free water that was not absorbed by the grease was checked. This chart shows a comparison between our BECHEM Complex CM21, a standard lithium EP grease, and a competitive calcium sulfonate complex grease. We can see the amount of free water remaining in the shell roller test over the runtime of the test itself. The competitive calcium sulfonate complex grease, here the dark curve, absorbs 30% of the water very quickly. This might be dangerous because in heavy industry, the water is always accompanied by abrasive particles, for example mill scale. Once they are entering the bearing, they will definitely be harmful. At the same time, the BECHEM Complex CM21 does reject water and particles better. Only 10% of the water gets absorbed, even less than a standard lithium EP grease does. However, when the intensive admixture of the water continues, the lithium grease gets saturated at one point of time and cannot take water that will seriously affect the bearing. Under those critical conditions, BECHEM Complex CM21 is able to absorb even more water than the calcium sulfonate complex grease from a competitor. Finally, 50 grams of grease has absorbed and neutralized 85 grams of water. This is an extraordinary result.
Let us now discuss a few examples for BECHEM Complex CM21. One of these examples from the steel industry is actually hot rolling mill work roll bearings. A very demanding application where a lot of water enters into the bearing, and typically we have water rejecting lubricants in operation, which is lithium complex or lithium calcium greases. The disadvantage of these greases is that they can be softened or hardened or change their consistency or being washed out. The big advantage of BECHEM Complex CM21 is the absorption of water without changing their consistency. So they remain perfectly in their consistency and are very good in water washout resistance. And on top of that, through the calcite layers, they deliver a very good load carrying capacity. The second very important application in steel industry is continuous casting strand guide roll lubrication, which requires typically a grease that is first of all thermal resistant and secondly very good in water resistance. And if the grease doesn't meet this criteria, it gets very soft sometimes. And you see on the picture, so therefore, our advantage is BECHEM Complex CM21, that it remains its consistency at all temperatures and with a lot of water. So this is ideal for this application. At BECHEM, we have developed a test called hot pumping test. This test is this red machine here with the tubes and pipes is to determine the clogging tendency of greases. It helps a lot to understand the performance of grease in centralized lubricating systems. Frank, do you think our new grease, BECHEM Complex CM21, is a game changer in the whole industry and it can be used for various applications?
I doubt it. Various applications probably, but not all applications. BECHEM Complex CM21 is a specialized product for the steel industry, casters, hot rolling mills, you've mentioned that, also earth-moving equipment in mining and construction. But we have so many different products in our portfolio, each of it for specific purposes where it is optimized for, and therefore we may subsumize BECHEM Complex CM21 is special.
Thank you, Frank. And I think that will be good to see in our customer base this product in operation to save money for our customers and to see this good performance helping our customers to be more successful.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Frank.